kids, welcome back to our YouTube channel. I'm Ms. Aruni covering your grade 10 business and accounting studies. So our lesson number 10 is about the purchase journal, sales journal and the general journal, as well as we will be discussing about new accounting trends. So what is the purchase journal about? It is the initial prime entry book or the journal where goods purchased on credit are recorded. So the party which provide us goods on credit is the creditor or the supplier. If the supplier is giving us goods on credit, we call him a creditor. And the amount payable to him is a liability. To be exact, it is a current liability. The source document of the purchase journal is called as the purchase invoice. So this is the format of the purchase invoice. So the particular creditor's details are given and then what we bought and the total as well as a trade discount will be written here. You have to remember that trade discounts will not be taken into account and only the amount after the trade discount is deducted will be going to our final entries, right? So when we are making a purchase journal, this is the format we have to have: the date, the invoice number, the particular supplier's name, total value, and a ledger page. To which ledger page this was taken, right? So as I said before, you have to note that trade discounts are not recorded in purchase journals. So this is an example which I have taken. So the net value of the invoice number 21, under which goods are brought from Harry, is 25,000. Invoice number 56, Ron, 110,000. Invoice number 11, Hermione, is 21,000. So I have put the dates. Then each invoice number and the person will be taken to the purchase journal. So as I said, the purchase journal format I have made here. So on 1st of January, on 2nd of January, the invoice number is 21. The supplier is Harry. What is his total value? 25,000. And then on January 18th, invoice number is 56. Who is the person? Ron. The amount is recorded. On January 23rd, invoice number 11. Who is the person? Hermione. The amount is recorded, and finally the final value will be taken to the purchase journal, right? So the way of doing the transaction will be follows, Pute, right? When we are posting it, total of the purchase journal will be debited to the purchase account while the credit entries will be done separately. So you have to remember that the total of the purchase journal total, this 156,000, will be taken directly to the purchase account as one single entry. So it will be debited there. And the equivalent credit entries will have three entries because there are three suppliers. So all these suppliers separately will be accounted. Why do we do so? Why do we take purchase amount one entry while having three entries for the credit side? That is because there are three creditors involved. We won't pay them at the same time. So to have a proper recording of our accounts, we have to have three different accounts for those three people, right? So I hope the purchase journal part is clear to you. Next, we discuss about the sales journal. So the sales journal, also called as the sales day book, is the journal where goods sold on credit basis are recorded. So when we are selling our goods on credit to an external party, they become our debtors, right? So the amount receivable from them, because they have to pay us money in future, that is considered as a current asset. So the sales document of the sales journal will be the sales invoice, right? This is the format of a sales invoice, right? So we will write what we have sold and the value. And finally, here also we might have trade discounts. You have to remember, as I said before, trade discounts will not be taken into accounts. Only the amount after trade discounts are deducted will be going to the sales journal and the final accounts. So what is the format? We have the date, the invoice numbers. Previously in the purchase journal, we had suppliers, but now we have customers here and the total value and the ledger page. Right, so this is an example of the invoices issued by Malfoy's business, right? So these are the invoice numbers. For Luna, we have invoice number 12. For Luna, the value is 12,000. Invoice number 13 for Neville, it is 24,000. Again, an invoice to the same person, Luna, 423,000. For Ginny, 67,000. And again to Neville, 54,000. So since the invoice dates are different, we don't try to put a total at the sales journal. You have to remember that. At invoice 12, Luna has 12,000. On invoice 14, Luna has 123,000. All this will be recorded on the same manner given. Invoice numbers and everything will be recorded based on the dates and on the same manner without writing totals in the sales journal. And once all this will be done, we will be taking the total of this particular buyers to the sales account. So sales account will be credited, right? So after we record, the total will be going to the sales account as one entry, while the relevant debtors will have separate debit entries. Sales account total will be credited as one entry, while on the particular debtors account, we will have two records. But here, because why do we have two records here? Because she has two invoices. Luna has two invoice numbers, right? So we have recorded that here, right? We don't try to make totals everywhere possible. We only try to take clear recordings because they can settle one invoice at once and the next invoice the next day, right? Imagine Luna pays the first invoice of 12,000 and later on she pays for the second invoice of 123,000. So if we put the total of this, if we put 135,000 in Luna's account, do we know what is the invoice amount? We have to go and search the prime entry book, the sales journal again to find what has happened, what were her invoice numbers. That is why we have the taken ones to Luna's account. The entries taken recorded in two entries rather than taking the total so that we can be clear, right? So always remember when we are making accounts, what we try to do is we try to keep a mathematical accuracy. Next, it is the general journal. This is the primary book used to record the transactions that cannot be recorded in any other primary book. So those transactions that does not fall to the cash account or the sales journal or purchase journal or any other primary book will be recorded in the general journal. So what kind of entries would be here? For example, maybe the purchase of furniture on credit, right? If we purchase furniture on credit, if we purchased it on cash, it will go to the cash account. But since it is made on credit, now we have to have a general journal entry. So if the owner withdrew goods of the business, could we make a sales journal entry? We cannot. The owner is the one who's withdrawing. So then we have to use the general journal. And similarly, you're going to learn this in your next lesson. When we are rectifying this trial balance errors also, we use the general journal to make entries. So what is the format of the general journal? You will have the date, the voucher numbers, the description. You will write the two accounting entries, the debit and the credit entries and the relevant accounts, as well as in brackets, you will write a narration regarding the transaction. That means what is the transaction about? You will write in brackets. There will be a ledger page and the values of the debit and credit entries separately. Right? So the narration part is what I have written in this sentence as well. For every transaction recorded in the general journal, a brief description known as a narration should be written. So it's a must. Now look at this example. Purchase of a machinery by Harris Companies Private Limited for rupees 12,000 on credit basis. So Harry has brought a machinery on credit, right? So imagine we are selling, right? Purchase of a machinery by Harry's company. So imagine we are the ones who have bought the machinery and Harry is the one who sold us. He's our creditor, right? So the machinery bought will be debited to our account, while since it's a creditor who has given us that amount, we have to credit him. So here is the debit and the credit entries. And since we have to write a narration about the transaction, you write recording of machinery bought from Harry's company for rupees 12,000 on credit. Right. Next, honor withdrew goods of rupees 20,000 for personal use. So here what you have to do, you have to debit the drawings account of 20,000 and credit the purchases account as goods are being reduced, writing 20,000. So then you write the narration recording of owner's withdrawal of goods worth rupees 20,000. Right? So with that, our journal entries part is over. Now we are discussing how the technology has influenced the accounting aspect. So, with the use of electronic technology or the new inventions, the accounting side has improved as well. For example, there are instant cash transactions happening. We have computerized accounting processes which helps us to keep records rather than using manual entries or manual bookkeeping. We use telephones, text messages, emails for communicating with our suppliers, and then we use the internet or the mobile applications to pay different bills. We use checks and debit cards and credit cards instead of currency and notes to make payments. We obtain accounts details and conduct transactions through the internet without going to the bank physically. Also, we have this sales through electronic platforms, and also we use point of sales machines. Whether we use technology or not, one thing you have to remember, and that is all these things should be recorded in the prime entry books and ledger accounts. So you have to remember whether we have new computerized accounting processes and packages, though we conduct our business and communication through the internet, though we pay bills through different applications, all these things should be recorded in our accounts. So that is why the technological side as well as the need of accounting them are emphasized in your book. Next, we discuss about how the mobile phones help in conducting business activities. So you understand by now most of our parents or us have mobile phones in our hands. So, similarly, having mobiles or using technology will help us to conduct our business activities more accurately. So, what kind of advantages do we have? This helps us in communication of information as well as to conduct banking activities through mobile applications. Similarly, since we can browse the internet, since the entire world of information is just a click away, we can get all the required information as soon as we want. So, taking business decisions will be really easy. And then the internet through the data connection of mobile phones will be really closer to us and will create a global village, and lots of networking and communication will be facilitated by it. Similarly, it will help us to do telebanking services as I said before. So when all these are facilitated, it will reduce the cost as well as the time consumed by businesses if they have to visit the banks or particular customers or to make manual entries of their accounts. So mobile phones always try to help them to improve their business phase. And what kind of tasks can be accomplished if we use this telebanking facility? So as I said, mobile phones helps us to use online banking. What can we do by online banking? We can check our accounts balance. We can have a bank statement. An e-statement will be generated. We can pay our bills. We can transfer funds from one account to another. So the payments will be really easy, as well as the receipts will be done accurately, as well as we can place orders for checkbooks. So because of that, we can control our funds wherever we are. Now we are going to discuss about the computer aided accounting. So with the use of this technology, with the advancement of technology, even the accounting field is now taking a new phase for them. That is, we now have computerized accounting activities and accounting packages so that our accounting can be done properly. So today, what we will be discussing is about how computer-aided accounting facilitates a business. So our day-to-day transactions can be recorded to the computer systems using different computer-aided packages or accounting packages. So all the recording, storing, interpretations, as well as communication with our different stakeholders could be done easily when we use computers and different networks. So similarly, when we are making records and all, we can use accounting packages such as AccountPack, QuickBook, MyOB, Sage. All these will facilitate us to prepare our financial statements and maintain our accounts more accurately. So what kind of advantages do we have? They are helping us to save time as once the transactions are recorded, we can automatically prepare the future financial statements and different reports we need easily rather than doing that manually. It will also reduce the cost of labor because since we use accounting packages, the number of employees needed to do these transactions will be low and the level of accuracy will be high. Similarly, it will help us to get data easily and quickly. But this too has certain set of disadvantages. There can be security issues. So if there's a power failure or any other issue, what will happen is our data can be either deleted or else can be defaulted. And also if there's a risk of unauthorized access, the changing of computer data, it can affect our business immensely. Similarly, there will be a large sum of money or a large investment to be done to purchase these accounting softwares. So if there's in your exam a question asking what computer aided accounting is, you have to give a brief description about it, as well as if you could write a advantage and disadvantage. So if you could write that more briefly, you can get a good mark put there. So with that, we can end our lesson for today. Hope you enjoyed learning with us. Thank you.